Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr.
Yeah.
Masters.
I'm sorry we did it a little bit late, but I think you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. I had several things I wanted to do before this, but since the time has gone by pretty quickly, I think I just want to show you something that I've said before, but as I grew and understood it, I began to understand it even more. And I'm not sure that I can come forth with that tiny little thing that means everything. Now, I'm going to start off with the beginning, with Adam and Eve. I've spoken about that before because I really understand that if God would create an extension of himself, a man in his image, that what happened would happen millions of times. Because how could they deal with the dark side of the force without the understanding of it and without the choice? There was a choice, but Adam was given that choice. But when he was seduced, if a man had put it that way, she didn't understand it. There was nothing cruel or silly about it. But he thought twice and then ate the fruit. And there's a shock. And he changed. What changed mostly was the energy of his motivations. Emotion made him part animal and part human. Everybody who has emotion is part animal and part human, and you have anxiety for that reason. And just to start just a little bit, to give you a little thought, it's necessary, it's essential for you to understand that emotion isn't human. It's the falling away from being human with a relationship which was first beginning. When he reacted to the woman, he disconnected himself from God and took on her nature. And it says it very clearly, because you've done this thing, he says to Adam, and I won't get the right words, but you'll see, but I'll do the best. Because you have done this, you have become entwined. That may not be the good word, but you'll see it, becoming part man and woman, because he looks towards the woman for love, which is backwards, excuse the expression. But there's a magic to this. This wasn't something that God didn't understand. If he made billions of them, they'd all make the same mistake. He's not in the business of producing people, just one person. And as a result of one person, or second person too, the female, it needed to be that way so that they become more part animal and part human and procreate. That's important. And here, if I can take it right to the thing I want you to hear. You often heard me say that you come into the world differently from Adam, correct? So Adam disconnects from his father in heaven and becomes the subject of the woman with the dark side of the force. We don't know what the dark side of the force is, we can guess it. we got women who have lots of problems. And the biggest problem of a woman is the hunger for a man, a Jesus kind of man, a person who has authority. Authority can only be given to God, given to a man. How can I say that? I think you got my point, didn't you? And now the authority means that he has the extension of what God is to be a man, like it was before the fall. So it's necessary for a man to come into the world as the extension of the woman and go back to the woman for love, which isn't love, it's just sex and procreation. And they cannot do that properly because they don't know what love is at that point. But something beautiful happens. We can look at this something as beautiful. Something meant, because the whole human race, every person of every race and color and creed, you can go to Africa and the little people, and you can go to China, you can go anywhere, but every child, the multiplication of all that was necessary for something to happen way into the future. But you have to have a lot of people, and he's not going to make them anymore. We're going to create, just like animals, sex and children, and when you come into the world, now I'm going to talk to you about coming into the world. So every child that comes into the world, in this case, we find clearly that every child that comes into the world, first of all, it's important to make millions of people in the world. Millions and millions, enough, because God is not going to make them one at a time. We're going to make ourselves one at a time. We're going to procreate and procreate and procreate and procreate for years and years and years, and suffering and wars and everything else. But that has to go with it, because something's missing to us. But even those days, even the days of 5,000, it was there that when a child comes into the world, he comes into the world with I'm going to find a way to say it, with the nature of a man, as a woman. In other words, a man is not a complete man until he finds God, like it was when Adam was Adam, when he was on the right side of the force. So the child comes into the world, every male child comes into the world with intuition. So does the woman. Each has a purpose. The man is a man and a woman is a woman. But there's something wrong with the man is because he's born of a woman and subject to the woman. And it's kind of obvious to people, it's not obvious to me because I can see it now differently, that he should go to the woman for love. It's about correct, isn't it? Man goes to women for love, but she hasn't got it. She needs love from him. Where would he get that love? He would have to get it from God. But he doesn't think of that. So it's romance, it's love, it's glory. He goes to her, and all starts all over again. What she's looking for is not an animal. She's looking for a man who is a human. And she needs the kind of man, not like the animal, who hungers for sex and hungers for sex and destroys the woman or turns her into a whore, which is one of the things that happen, or turns you into hateful towards your husband because it isn't love. She feels like something is sucking up into him because he wants something that's not good for him to have from her. She needs to get something for him, but he doesn't understand this. He comes in the world and is subject to the mother. And that subject to mother is not healthy. There's something terribly wrong with it. But let me just go back just a little bit. This is not easy to speak about. I may have to play with it just a little while longer. No, I don't want to hear anybody until I'm finished. Because the finishing thing is going to be very difficult to express. It comes and goes as I speak to you, and I hope I can bring it to the light. So I have to pause just a little bit. Yes, when you come into the world, I've said it before, and I say it again, but I'm going to take one more step from that. Every human being comes into the world with intuition. Now, intuition is a gift to every child, everybody in this room. And I can tell you, if you have suffering from your parents, you can see that they cannot see what they're doing to you. They don't, but you can. You can see. You can be at 2 years old. You could be at 3 years old. You could be at 1 year old. And remember that mother doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and the father couldn't save you from your mother because he's hungry for what she's got, and it isn't any good. It's not love. It's sex. But that sex is important because God will bring the universe, not the universe, but the world full of people in this manner. Not like turning a machine on, like making Adam as a machine, another machine, another machine, another machine. It doesn't work. You have to have a choice. Adam had the choice, and he got disconnected, and he became an animal in conflict with a human. And all of you are conflict with your human. Your human is emotional. Adam lost it for you. And when you came into the world, you came into the world as part animal and part human. But here's something. There's something beautiful about being born this way. And I see if I can express it. It's not going to be easy. I may have played for it just as round and round, just a little bit if you don't mind. But the male child, let's take the male child. The male child is capable and essential for him to realize that he cannot go to a woman for love. It's deadly. You will die from that. And she will die hating you. Or she will die as a whore for you. And hate and misery and suffering is everywhere. From the lowest, from the low, the highest of the high, that have control and understand what I'm saying and encouraging people to be that way and never to find the meaning of life. The meaning of life is coming now. The meaning of life is when you come into the world will come into you. But I want to show you how it happens. It's very special. God has given every child born all the way back to where it was happening. All the people making people, all that. Different countries, different language, but all the same. All the same, if we could find intuition. Intuition means you have a gift when you're born. Everybody in a gift. You with the whiskers. you have a gift as a little child. The trouble is, this is a gift. And narrow is the way that finds it. Because the tendency is to lose it. And losing it is not necessarily bad. I just want to make it, because everything for her is beautiful. So, can you remember, just ask yourself, if it's just inside your mind, you can put your hand up if you wanted to make my point. Can you remember that you could see the injustice of your parents, but the parents couldn't see the justice to themselves? How many people can see this? It's most everybody, isn't it? And so, whereas, had you had a noble father, I had one. I had a noble father that didn't push me, just watched and was careful, but allowed me to do and just discover, not to go to school. Even though I went to school, I couldn't stand school. I didn't want to learn. I enjoy chemistry. I enjoy all the mechanical things. I just played with them and played with them and played with them, and I begin to this and that. And I got to hypnosis. Then I got from hypnosis. It's a long story. But everything I've ever known is because I saw it. And I never learned it from a book. Now, it doesn't mean to say I didn't. I like the Bible, but I don't like the Bible too. I see people reading the Bible and remembering it, and then giving a demonstration of how much they can remember, and everybody goes, yeah, that's right. That's knowledge from the outside. Yeah, it's true knowledge, but you really have to see what the true knowledge is, especially with the scriptures. It's beautiful, especially the Jesus side of the Bible. Magnificent, tremendous. You only need just a few words. You only need the ability to say, I know what that means. And the minute you see what that means, you see that the preacher doesn't know. He just says it. And you have to remember it. And you have to act out of it. That is crazy. That is insane. That's what's wrong. Preachers, rabbis. Now you need to have somebody like myself to say to the rabbis and the preachers, go to hell. You don't know what you're talking about. Roy Masters is not going to ask you to remember and be able to stand on the stage and speak the Bible and then everybody gives the cheers. What a wonderful person, Not at all. He's a machine. He's being controlled like a machine. He doesn't find truth. Now I'm saying to you that you had your hand up just a little while ago, and the reason why you can put your hand up, because lots of people don't want to come here. They don't want to see the truth. A lot of people hate the truth. They want to be right, because that's the nature in them. Never want to be wrong. And if you're a decent person, let's say you're right, whatever that right is, I'm coming to it. He will see it, or she will see it. Your sister will see it, your brother will see it, your wife, mother will see it, and hate you for it. And she will love all the ones that go along with her. And they grow to do the same thing with their children, so on and so forth. So we have, in this world, good people, decent people who are searching for meaning. And the meaning is there. The meaning is intuition. The intuition never goes away. Intuition never goes away. It troubles you, and you hate it. And the more you hate it, the more disgusting you become, and more it's obvious to the people of the light, and the more it's obvious to the people of darkness that they have light. You have light, but you've lost with it. Narrow is the way, and few are those that find it. Makes sense so far? Now, the other day I was doing it to myself, and I did it in 5 minutes, but I didn't have an audience. So I have to lengthen it just a little bit more. Let me say this. Intuition is essential. You will die. I don't know what it is to die without finding redemption. But God has given to you a redemption. And you come into the world with it. That's what I said. Do you remember coming into the world with it? You put your hands up and saw that your mother was crazy and your father was. And there was big injustice. And they can fight each other. Or they can love you and hope that you won't love the other person but them. You can see all this at 2 years old. Let me see your hand again. You see it, don't you? And you still see it, don't you? You still remember being that little child. And if you remember that little child, you still have intuition. Because I am the father that they weren't. I'm saying to you, to hell with your you could actually say to hell with your Bible. Not necessarily meaning that way, but the learning of it. We don't want to be learned from the outside. How do we know it's right? How do we know there's several different meanings? How do you know? With Obama, fundamental transformation, hooray! It meant down. It didn't mean up. You didn't see it. You hide by her words. You could make good words into terrible things. That's what it was, wasn't it? Everybody said hooray. But he didn't mean down. And it didn't mean up. He meant down. And you took it. And you had a disgraceful, I forget the president. Yeah, thank you. Yes, and we live with it. And we got it a second time. And one more time, we would have been lost. Now coming back again. Now here is where I have to be careful in finding the words to show you that even though it narrows the way, you people sitting here will grasp it, and you probably wouldn't be able to express it to anybody else, but you'll just get it. And if I just get this little group of people to become this way, it will have a remarkable effect on your children and your life everlasting. I mean, life everlasting. So even though you have it, you have bad things having happened to you. But it's the bad things that happens. For how was it said? There was some scripture that says, everything bad happens for good, for those that love the Lord. It means if you can find your way to intuition, which you had, if I guide you to look at what you saw the truth of the fact that your parents could not see what they did to each other and what they did to you because of that horrible example, because they had to take their hostility out on you, even though you're 3 years old. You could see it, and it would disturb them. But mother, but dad, shut up. Correct? That's horror. You would not expect that, but it is. But there's something about you which I cannot explain. You who are sitting here, I cannot explain why one person would choose hell and get away. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Because in that sense, you think evil is good, and good is evil. That's how it looks like, the ISIS. They think that evil, horror, destroying people is good. They don't want to bring up beautiful children. They want to bring up murderers and killers. It goes to such extremes. But the other extreme is finding the meaning of life. They never will, but we'll have to fight those. But you have to have a special quality to fight. And that is seeing that your parents could not see themselves and stop judging them. Judgment is mine, saith the Lord. And also, you can't judge, although you do judge. If you judge, you're finished. But then also, if you forgive, you're finished. Jesus was executed because he was able to forgive somebody. And all the Jewish
Scribes.
Yes. How did you say it?
Scribes and Pharisees.
Yeah, tribes, yes. They hated that. So, but here I'm playing with it because if you can rediscover and perhaps have been discovering it, you've been hating your parents. And hating your parents caused you to lose your life to them. The truth of the matter is, from the very beginning, listen, I have to just stop for a minute and make some thoughts. The secret of controlling everybody in this room, the secret is to upset them. Literally to be upset. If you want to have control and you want to rise in your control, you have to be hateful. You have to be clever. You have to love what is wrong and hate what's right. And then you have a whole body of people that you make them feel better than they deserve. And that's what happens with Obama. You would have nearly lost it. And you see the craziness of those people today that came into that world with him. He loved the worst in people and hated the best. But he did it so beautifully and cleverly. So I am coming to a close here very soon. I'm going to start again, but not put so much words into it. That intuition is understanding what nobody else can see. You have two pairs of eyes. One here, two here in my heart. So people that may not hear will see me on TV, see what I'm doing. It's a longing. That longing brought you here. It scares a lot of people away. But the purpose of this is redemption. God has prepared from Adam and Eve to multiply and multiply, war of good people, bad people hurting good people standing up for themselves and dying for their family and all the rest of it. All of that is coming to an end. There's going to be half the world that's that way and half the world. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to give what I'm giving to you in half of the world, starting with the English. because 1/3 of the world is English speaking. That's a beginning. And what I'm trying to do and to share, to get you to understand that when you came into the world, that is the direction for salvation, redemption. You will be redeemed from all the things you ever did because you didn't do them. Your mother entered into you and created in conflict, and that conflict is doubt, and doubt is the opposite to faith. The emotion that you experience as a child robs you of going straight to God. But it's rare. It's rare, because I had that. I went from right to it, one thing at a time, and being successful as I grew to understand it better and better and better and better. And I think tonight it's as much as better as I can give you. So now, how do you get back from hating your mother? How do you get back from hating your father? Hating is hating, and they're inside you. And there's everybody sitting in this room that has that gift, it is a gift, is able to grasp this gift. But how do you forgive? I mean, as narrow is the way to find it. You can't forgive, because only God can forgive. And how can you, what was the other one I was saying? Yes, judge. Those two. Only God can do. God can judge, and God can forgive. That's it. So how do you find yourself? Something in the middle. What's in the middle is, forgive me, it's not easy. In the middle means that you look at your parents and realize intuition is coming back. Intuition, I'm asking you to understand how much anger you still have towards your parents. But you can't get past that, because you want to forgive her. That's not good. And you continue judging her because it's no good. Well, I'll try again, and get hateful. That's what happens. You still have a nature. So how do you deal with this? You don't judge, because that's what you've been doing. And then you forgive, which is, you're not God, you can't forgive them, can you? You're playing God. It's a trick. Narrow is the way. That's how narrow it is. Am I getting something? Am I getting here somewhere? Because I'm almost finished, and I can send you home. But you might want to talk about it after this break. All you need to do, and all you need to do, everybody, is to see, oh, I see, my mother did not know what she was doing. But how would she? Because when you come into the world, you come into the world I described. Your father's no good, your mother's not good. But they do the best. But that's not good enough. But it's best for the best to have it. You didn't understand this yet until I bring it to see you. You did the best you can do, but best is not good enough. It has to be right on target. Now, this is what I want you to do. Realize you have intuition. You have intuition now. It isn't gone. unless you become as a little child, you can no ways enter the kingdom. This is important. You have that. You have it. The only thing that's made it difficult is the fact that you resent your parents. Or you're an appeaser to your parent, hoping that that be good. No. That's not good. You become addicted to that. You become addicted to appeaser, and you become an appeaser to people who know how to manipulate you. And anger, with people who know how to use anger to put themselves into you without realizing they're into you, but you have conflict, and he doesn't when he pushes you aside and makes you think you're stupid, and you feel secure for a little while anyway. So now I'm going to come to the very small part, which cannot be said without all the things I just said. You all have intuition. You all remember your parents. You're like snakes, dogs, hateful. But they didn't see it. They didn't see it when they tried to make you be a good guy. Shut up. Do as I tell you. I love you. That's not love. It's support for what they've done to you. When you come into the world, you have the intuition. And it could have been a straight line. I have the straight line. I never flinched to anything. I didn't understand it. I'm not taking what I'm saying. I'm not trying to brag that I have something that you don't. You have it. But there's got to be some people, someone who gets it and helps others to get it, because their problems are so severe. My problems were not severe. I never had any problems I couldn't resolve in a good way, one after a time. And the beautiful thing about it, I began to see all the things I'm telling you. And the more I saw, the more I can see what I saw. And if it's the opposite way, it's backwards. And you're going down. Now, I'm going to come again. Forgive me. I want you to consider that your mother and your father, because they come into the world, you come into the world as a cannibal, what are you going to do? You come in, there's various situations and that will eventually lead to America, where even in England you couldn't speak up. I had to walk out of England because the people are all tight. Oh, I got English. And they're nice people. Don't get to, you could still be a nice person, but not nice enough to enter the kingdom of heaven forever. That's not good enough. The behavior is necessary. You have to have necessary nice people. And you have to have necessary wicked people, but nice people are not nice enough. Eventually they give in, they become an appeaser to the bullies. So here I'm almost there now. It's all about what I just said. Now that you've grown up, you have a memory of your parents in your head. And I can say to you, every one of you, when that comes, when the memory of what they did to you and made you angry with them, and made you turn around instead of going straight to paradise. Redemption, right to the redemption. You could have done that, bang, all the way through. But instead, they got inside your head because you're just a kid. You're just 2 years old. But you can see what they don't see. You have it. They lost it. Too bad. To hell with them. Excuse the expression. To hell with all of them. But there are those of you now sitting here who are like your parents. But there's something that makes you different. You can listen to Roy. And he will say, look, if you keep on getting upset, if you keep thinking about what's happened to you when you were a little girl or a little boy, you're only going to get worse. So how can you forgive when you cannot be allowed to forgive and you cannot continue judgment? The feeling of power that you have, even the hatred of power. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to say it, but judgment is there with your bully, and even though he's killing you, you can die judging him, because judgment makes you feel like God. It gives you a sense of power while you're dying. But you can't stop that. You're finished. Am I going somewhere here? Can I see your heads nod a little bit? Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen here, I see decency. I see decency in you. You've suffered a lot. You don't need to. Look, I think I can say some extra things that makes it clear. When you are upset, your parents turned everything around. So instead of going straight to redemption, to intuition, and be there, like I did, went straight to it, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, to where I'm sitting here. You know, broken in many different ways, but I'm old. But I love what I'm sharing with you, see? And so, all of you, how many remember when you in a moment-to-moment situation, you will see your mother and your father, and you get angry with it. How many people get angry with their mother and father to this day? Can I see that? Many of you then have understood me, haven't you? You're beginning to understand, so it's good. So, if you can do this and understand that when your mother and your father failed, father didn't protect you from mother, and vice versa. And there's hate, etc., and appeasement, also not good. Looking for something that's not good for you, looking for love in all the wrong places, etc., etc. But all of that that's come into your mind, be careful that when the picture of your mother and the picture of what your father did comes into your head, it will keep coming. It will keep coming in all of you. And how do you deal with it? You want to get rid of it. You get angry with it. You get struggling with it. You cannot save yourself. Cannot save yourself. The nature of your mother or your father are both in you. How do you get rid of it? Of yourself, you can do nothing. The Father within you, He doth it all. Let it be that way. Now, when you hear those words, let it respect the fact that you were a little child, that you really didn't do anything wrong. They caused you to be wrong and to suffer. They caused you and didn't know and didn't damn with it anyway. They try to fix you, you get worse. In every way, shape, or form. You get worse as an angry person. You get worse as an appeaser because you want peace. There is no peace. I'm coming again. A few days ago, I could talk that in 3 minutes, but you're not 3-minute people. So I got this quickly. Now, try to understand this. You never, even with all your sicknesses and all your craziness and the problems that everybody else has, I have to pause just a little bit. It's all the same, but you have redemption. And if you could see, I'm coming now right back to it and trying to finish it if I can. If you can see that you have never done anything wrong in your life, it's your mother or father acting through the fact that you don't know how to forgive or, not. In other words, it's the resentment towards your parents is very difficult to overcome. If you look at America with 80% of people discarding their marriage. What's it called when you say divorce? Look what's going on. What's happening to the kids? They're all broken, and they're looking for love, making all the mistakes, which you also have been through. But there's something in you that can see the simplicity that you never did anything wrong in your life. It was your mother and your father, whichever or both, is still acting through your innocence. Could that make any sense? Is that difficult? It is acting through you, but it isn't you. You're hypnotized. You can use the word hypnosis. You cannot see it, and you cannot help but do what the wicked mother, which you can't say is wicked because she's also crazy. But you're not so crazy as she is. You have a gift. And I can talk to you about that gift, and you can have it right away now. All you need to do is not to judge when it comes to your head. Because if it comes to your head, it starts to be real. And when it's the image, the very, very first day you did it when you were younger, the image comes, you don't want to hate you see your mother in your head, and you get resentful, thinking that it will make it go away, and all it is makes it worse. But you have to go through all that, don't you? All the suffering. Everything bad happens for good. Let's put it this way. Now, I think I can just polish this up a little bit. The key is the key to the kingdom and the way to finish the journey to paradise lost, redemption. God has created a place where you understand this, and when you understand it, all disappears, and you're on your way to seeing clearly without reacting to your parents. You have to, if you keep fighting to save yourself from your parents, it's impossible. You're only going to bring yourself down. There's no need to fight it. There's only need to realize it was not you that did all those stupid things. It was a hypnotic state that comes from being upset with anybody. I just said a little while ago, upset somebody and they couldn't control them and they don't know they're being controlled. Yes.
I'd just like to share something wonderful that happened to me yesterday.
What?
I was meditating, and I was laying in bed, and I was seeing all these things that I had done wrong in my
Yes.
life. And something said, stop being so, not stupid. It said, stop being so something, but it was an evil that said it. And for the first time that I've ever heard your words so clearly, everything you just said just happened to me yesterday. I saw my whole life. I thought I was battling a good and an evil within myself. They were one and the same, both something else.
Correct.
And I could see, and I said just what you, of myself, I can do nothing, and I saw that thing, and I saw that it spoke,
Sure.
and it wasn't me, and absolutely, I looked at my children in my mind as they were babies, and I told them, I'm so sorry,
Wonderful.
because I was my mother then living, and I see
It
them,
wasn't you. It
their
wasn't
mothers
you.
doing
Yeah.
the same thing, but the most, and then I just thought, I didn't think this, I knew it, that stillness that you speak of, there's nothing there. God is just still and quiet, and everything else is a complete lie. And it was the most beautiful experience. It was nice.
I think that's beautiful. I think it's workable, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not only beautiful, it's working beautiful.
And you feel like it's you, always you.
Use the mic.
You just feel like it's your own something. And it's incredible just to see that it's not.
Well, you see how simple this is. You just leave it, if anybody wants it, you can just hold it. How many people now could go home? How many people in this room hate their parents? Or have hated? Nearly everybody. That's right.
Ask him.
Yeah, and it's true with everybody. It's narrow is the way, and few that find it. It's few. But wouldn't it be nice if everybody knew it? Would it be nice if we could reach out and have all the people that represent what you just said to be resistant to evil, and there'll be a last war. The evil, you can see it happening. Marxists in America today. They want the women to take the place of men. They want women warriors and men female. Well, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I've got lots of arguments with that, but not just now, if you don't mind. I want to keep it on my subject matter. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my parents were good, but not good enough. And so they were like a little more pure, so to speak, than their parents. Mm-hmm. But they were such people pleasers and so skilled at having people.
It's all bad.
And I saw that even as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And I just wanted them just to pay attention, not dote on me, but just notice.
Look, what you need to understand. Mm-hmm. You can't have a little. Can't have a little evil. It always comes to it. So you don't want to make excuses for your mother.
Right.
That's what you just did.
Yeah, okay.
Don't make excuses.
Right.
She did it.
Yes.
Now, she did it, and now you're grown up and you can see what she did. You owe her
Right.
to speak to her. But you have to wait until it's clear that your mother will go screaming or your mother will appreciate it. And you have to wait for the kind of words that don't come from your brain. It's not mechanical. It is intuition. When you move and when you get your intuition back, which all of you will have by tonight, or even this moment. Understand, you are not guilty of anything, Anne. You are not guilty, so stop struggling with it. All you need to do is realize, which they didn't, for whatever reason, it's none of your business. It's too complicated. It's complicated to them that you're sitting here and they're sitting somewhere else and saying, why are you looking at this stupid man? But you know it's not stupid. See?
I
Now,
just really try to, or try isn't a good word, but to sit back and just observe, just as we've been teaching.
well, you have to wait also. You can't run to your mother and say, I have something to say, and you weren't this and that. It has to be in your head first. It has to come to you in, oh, Roy Masters says that I've never been guilty. The guilt has laid a trap so that it's your mother acting through you. But the trouble is, it acted through her. And you go all the way back to Paradise Lost. It's everywhere. And so everywhere people can also find it. And also avoid it and not accept it. You are in this room now. What I'm trying to get to see you is whoopee. I don't know how to say it, a kind of whoopee, meaning, oh, I see. You have the gift. All you need is to have someone share it with you with detail. It's a detail. It's a very tiny detail. Be still and know. Means something huge, but nobody understands it. So let's go back to this. It's very similar. It's huge. It's killing. It's murder. It's misery. It just takes your life away. But all you need to do is to look at the thought, realize in that moment, instead of getting angry and upset, realize, oh, my mother didn't see that. Maybe she could see it now. The thing is, you could go to her, but you had to have the strength of it, because if she pisses you off, excuse the expression, you're back in the saddle again. It's very delicate. You have never sinned. It's the thing in your mother or your father that has put it in you, so you're looking backwards. Instead of looking to the intuition, with your intuition to redemption, you're looking back. And your mother is coming through you, and your father is coming through you, and you marry your mother, and you marry your husband, all the same. Now, you can have a marriage where your husband or your wife doesn't get it. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it bother you. Let him scream. Let him shout. Now, with the fact that you're on that journey, you will not be able to get upset by it. You'll find the upset disappears because you see that they can't help themselves. They have to hurt someone to feel better about themselves. They can't help it. They're doing to others what was done to them. It stops with you. Your mother, now your mother may be alive, but don't rush to your mother too quick. It may take a year. It may take 10 years. Wait for it. Don't do it with your will. Don't try to figure it out. Just get the thought. When the thought comes to you, if you fight it, you get worse. if the thought comes to you and you sit back, what does Roy say? They could not help themselves. So maybe I'm judging them. I can't forgive them. I gave you the reason you can't forgive. It's a prerequisite for God, isn't it? So you can't play that. But you can see they cannot help it, and you can feel relief. You've always loved God, but your parents got in the way and made you think otherwise, and you struggle, and you become like them. But all that will die by itself. You don't have to do anything, just realize it. Now, yes, you want to say something?
So, what I do is I sit back and I see all these tendons and other things trying to slip in to give it a voice, and it's really subtle and detailed, so to speak. I'm not too intellectual, so I'm not, but I sit back and I'm just, so I really just don't even want to speak at that point because all those tendons and other voices are trying to get me to speak for them. Does that make sense?
Well, what are the other voices?
Just darkness and resentment. And,
What we're dealing with is darkness.
right. So I just
That's
try to sit back and I'm watching.
They brought
it.
the darkness into you.
Right.
And the way of darkness, so that you just think that you're doing the right thing by hating your parents and wanting to be different. But you can't be different if you hate somebody. If you hate the hurter. The key is to let it go. So if a big guy comes in here and wants to fight me, I just look. And he can get as big as he is. Now, I'm not bragging, forgive me, I'm just making a point. It's from my experience. As big as he is, as cruel as he has to intimidate me for him to hurt me, because he's a coward. The bigger the coward, the easier it is to overcome him. Simply realize that he wasn't born that way. Bingo. It's a whole idea without words now. There's no more words. You just see your father, your mother, and just, oh, here she is. No, it's not exactly like that, of course. But you can just see it. And the seeing of it shrinks it away. All you have to do is watch. Oh, it wants me to think that I've sinned. You never sinned. It sinned through you. And you take the suffering from it. You don't have to suffer. Let it go. But then once you start letting go, you've got lots of mothers and fathers and children, everybody born of that. You can go through life like nothing. I have gone through life with the most horrible, I mean, the last 30 years, I've been nothing but ill. I'm ill now, one after the other. I am ill right now. I was ill a month ago. I was ill a year ago. I had operations, I had to go and say, why is this? It's necessary. I have to go through the system to understand everything. I'm okay with it. If I die with it, I die in the right way, not hating the hurter. Yes, ma'am.
May I share? With my mother, she abused me, not horribly, but she traumatized me as a child, of course.
Yes, of course.
For different things. And as I grew up, of course, I really didn't like my mom because of this aspect about her. In 2012, she was trying to lay a guilt trip on me
There it is.
that I was going to be really sorry when she was gone over whatever the situation was.
It all goes with it.
And I
it all
didn't
goes,
buy
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I saw the game that she was playing with me, and I said, well, kind of, but I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, well, where are you going to go? You know, where are you going? Are you leaving or something? But it was in reference to her dying. So we get back to her house, and she's still hammering on me. I didn't get upset and mad or angry at her, but I did leave. And I left her to stew in all of that she was trying to put into me. And there was a wall there. So when I got to my delivery place, for the first time in 20 years, she called me on the phone.
Uh-huh.
And that was, I could tell by the tone in her voice that this was the opportunity that I had failed for years trying to bring up all the abuse to her. And I understood that her defense was guilt. She could not admit or talk about all the things that she had done to me where I was willing to do it, but she was not. So I had this softness about my mom at that point over the phone, and I could hear this contriteness in her voice. And then I brought up very gently about the abuse and stuff, but Mr. Masters, it was no longer about me. Of all the stuff that she had done to me, it was no longer about Brenda. I told her, I says, Mom, I don't want you to die with the guilt that you're carrying
That's really sweet.
for the abuse that you put on me. I said, I'm over it. It's okay. I'm done. You know, it's all, and I'm bringing this to you because I care about you. It's not about me anymore. But beforehand, in the years before, it was all about me. I needed the redemption. I needed the acknowledgement. I needed the apology. But after that one night, I saw how desperate she was to pull me into her guilt game, and I didn't get pulled.
To justify herself, yeah.
Exactly. So when that phone call came, we were finally being able to talk about all that. It just gives me chills when I'm thinking about it right now because it was just so profound to let her go. And she died in 2013. And when she died, I was completely free of my mom. I had no connection with her at all. You know, a little sadness, but
you
not.
see what she's saying?
But not.
You see how
But
beautiful
not
that
to
is?
where I was grieving. It wasn't a grieving situation at all. I didn't lose a smile. My mom, you know, I just went through and I was a
how
very
was she?
responsible daughter.
I would like to know how long did it last?
What?
The fact that she began to understand what you did. I'm assuming that she was beginning to understand what you were saying.
She understood it for the rest of her life
That's good.
in the situation.
And then she goes to paradise, doesn't she?
Well, I shared a dream with you that I had with her one time, and I was totally conscious, and I said, Mom, are you in heaven? And she comes back and she says, well, sister, I don't know if it's heaven, but I'm sitting on green grass by a beautiful river, and the sky is the bluest blue I have ever seen. And then she asked me, is your sister there? And all of a sudden my sister comes here on my right shoulder. She goes over to my sister, and she's talking to my sister. My sister's bawling and crying, and yes, Mom, yes, Mom, yes, Mom. And then she comes back to me. This is all telepathic. She comes back to me, and she says, now, Brenda, I want you to take care of your sister. I want you to take care of your little sister, and I'll be here when you get here. And I said, okay, Mom. And then the situation in life woke me up, and it was just...
I like that.
And it was her voice. It was the question that I asked her, Mom, are you in heaven? Just as clear as I'm saying it to you here now. And then all of that proceeded. And it was lovely.
Well, I'll tell you about dreams.
Okay.
They can be punishable dreams, and there can be beautiful dreams where God is there.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's possible, both ways, to have nightmare and daymare.
Well, I think I was allowed because I had no of that attachment with my mother anymore. And it was beautiful because I saw how she died and she was okay with it. She, you know, and she always had this contention with me, you know, because I was the rebellious one. My sister conformed and she emasculated
In
my
a manner
brother.
of speaking, that's a good thing.
Pardon me?
Being rebellious against it is a good thing, but it could be better. And you're now doing it the way it should be.
Yes.
I like that. Any other questions?
I just want to tell you this.
Are you feeling better about something?
Yes, I am, because I really been
Is anybody
struggling.
feeling better about immediately? Something is so beautiful. You have never. You're still innocent. You have intuition, except it's broken and you didn't break it. And it entered the mother or the father, and the extension through you made you look like them, but you're not.
It was that in me that she kept trying to damage all of my life, because I would stand there and I was mirroring her, and I could see her just go crazy, you know, because I would just look at her and see the craziness in her.
I understand that. Yes.
I just like to tell every once in a while this something I know that really did happen before I came to before I was born. I remember female angels being around me, and I was like really this unshapen like spirit. And I said to them, it was all telepathic, like a dream, I'll always remember where I came from. I always will. And they smiled as if they knew I wouldn't remember. And that was my journey. So,
That's a dream.
yeah.
But it's not as good as this one. This is more to the point.
About it goes along what the lady was saying about her mom, and it just it made me realize about my
Can you
mom.
speak a little louder?
It made me realize about my mom is that because she's still sick, she's in a wheelchair, and
How old is she?
she's 68.
She's a very emotional woman.
But she's
What's
getting
the name of the disease?
arthritis.
Arthritis.
But I
That's
can
easy
see
to cure, you know.
I can see that she's stuck in her own guilt.
Of course.
I see it now, that kind of like that
And
lady
how does
was
it free-
saying.
How does it free you today? Do I free you today?
Yes, I could see her now. I
Are
mean,
you going to be okay with
yeah,
this now?
yeah.
I don't have to go all the way back and do it. Say it again. But
I
you
can
see,
just see her now. I see that's what's wrong with her. She wants to be a good lady.
you're crying from
She-
happiness, aren't you?
Yeah, but I can see that I'm sad for her at the same time because she's so guilty. She's so guilty. She won't allow herself
No more
to
guilt
forgive
for you.
herself.
No more guilt for you.
And that's why she's still in the wheelchair and sick, because she can't forgive herself for what she's done to us and all my brothers.
What's your first name?
Avery.
Avery? Did I get it right? Avery?
Yes.
Okay, Avery. Can you let it go now?
Yeah. I
You're not guilty.
I was still holding on.
You're not guilty. You're still innocent. You've always been innocent. You didn't understand how they got through you and put themselves in you and make you do what you wouldn't do, but you couldn't help it. That was her problem too.
Yeah.
But thank God, you are now.
I've been on this journey for a while now, and I've had little breakthroughs, little by little, and just, I guess it's just.
But how
It does
about
take
how
time.
about today? How clear is it to you? It wasn't.
I never saw this.
You
I
never-
mean, I've seen her.
But you see what it was now? She was acting through you, and you took the guilt. You can drop the guilt. Drop it. Because it was her guilt acting through you. Her identity acting through you. You were programmed. No more. Understand? You're free. Let her go. Again, we come to the word, let her go. But if you get upset with it, it causes it to come to life, as if it was real. Yes,
I have something more.
yes, please.
One of the incidences with my mother, my sister and I were tots, just little tots, 2, 3 years old. And we would go into the geraniums underneath where the mud was and get all mudded up and go into our little rubber swimming pool and get all clean again and go back and get all mudded up. And we did this at the roots of my mother's geraniums. She saw what we were doing, and while she was spanking us for this horrible thing that we did, you know, little innocent little girls, she was expounding about how we were damaging her geraniums. I grew up hating geraniums. Now, this is very, very important and very extremely profound, because being that I had hated geraniums all my life, I was walking down the street by a nursery.
That's the extension of your mother.
I was walking down the street by this nursery, and I looked at this flower, and it was absolutely beautiful. It caught my eye. And I asked what it was, and they said, "That's a Martha Washington geranium." And it hit me. I had done a hate transference because as a little girl, I would have
You didn't know
been
what it was, did you?
overwhelmingly guilty to hate my mother. So I chose to hate, something in me chose to hate the geranium instead of my mother, where it should have been belonged, because she overreacted and did us wrong
I
by
understand
doing
that.
what she did.
It's crazy,
So
isn't it? Because basically,
I
it's
put
crazy.
2 and 2 together, and I thought, I don't hate geraniums. I hated my mother. And that, you know, was a
But
resolve.
that's the intuition. Your intuition is coming back.
Yes.
You've always had it,
Yes.
but you've always had her.
Yes.
Until you come here, and we're sitting here, and we are understanding. And the understanding is redemption. Oh, I see it. Oh, I see more. Even see more and more and more. Never stops. Never stops.
Okay, now I feel guilty about what I did to my son. I feel sad. Well, I feel sorry about, I don't know if I feel guilty about it. I guess I do feel some guilt, but I feel sorry about what I did.
What did you do?
The cruelty that I did to him. So, you know, I would like to,
It's
you know,
cowardly.
undo
It's
that.
basically cowardly, isn't it?
How is that?
Basically cowardly to do anything to your children. Well, you
Oh.
see, there's a little story. I can share it with you, and you can hold on to that for a minute. A man owns a business. He has a fight with his wife, and he gets upset and goes back to his business and upsets the person in charge of all the other people, what they call this. Management, yeah. Get up. So he got angry with them. The management got angry with the employees. The employees went home and took it out on their wife, and the wife took it out on the children, and the children did it to the older children did it to the younger children, until we had the 3-year-old that was pulling wings out of butterflies, and they take him to the mental department when they all was sick, not the child. Child is still innocent. Of course, there is innocence in the sense that when you think you have it, you really don't. You're just misunderstood. And I've given that understanding that you had when you were 2 years old, or 3 years old, I want you to come back to be 3 years old and not hate your mother, but appreciate Roy Masters in a manner of speaking to bring it up to you. Because I don't know if anybody could ever say what I just said. Am I correct?
Yes.
So I'm waiting for the time that I can say something to my son to.
Wait for it. You do not. Do you remember last week? I said Mary had a little lamb. Remember that?
Yep.
And so everybody said Mary had a little lamb, weeds for night of snow. I said, now close your eyes and think of it, but don't make a sound. So you can see yourself talking, but in a silent talk in your head. You don't want to listen to any of that in your whole life. So if you stop for a minute and you see thoughts, they don't belong to you. Never mind how clever they are. It's the extension that will kill you. I want you to be so independent. See, independent. You know, you can say independent, it would mean something else. Money, I'm independent. No. There's another kind of way of being independent. Take the word in and strengthen it. Independent. It's a whole different way. I've given you a word. Independent.
May I say something
Yeah.
on the lines of this gentleman here for
Yeah.
your son? There's something that I've experienced that has absolutely unexplainable, but there's something, a change in you that can cosmically be transferred, and your son will know it. And you don't have to say a word, and
No.
he could be very far away. He could be totally in a different country or whatever. It's an unexplainable phenomenon
I can
as far
explainable.
Pardon
My
me?
father, when I was in school, away from London, into a school that you sleep with, you know, it looked like one of the movies.
Boarding school.
Yeah, boarding school, but it was just like a movie.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's the one. And it looked like it. The house looked like a huge house. And I had a dream that my father died. It was just there. And it's almost like he came in and said something just vaguely, gone. In the morning, I woke up and the teacher says, headmaster wants to see it. I knew what it was already. Intuition,
I had that when my father was killed.
yeah. But still, there's so much we can talk about. But if you have intuition as a child, I ask you to bring it forth. I'm just kind of reminding you that you had it. And you still have it. It's there. Every child has it. They can reject it, as I said. But you are, because they're not looking for things. I don't know why they don't. It's none of my business. My business is to get you to see that you never have any harm, never had any, it's not you. It's all the misery and suffering you have is equal to what I'm about to say, to put it all together. Roy stands up and the person tries to upset me. No matter how much he tries, he can die trying. And they often do. You don't have to fight with your energy, with your emotions. Hold your ground. Hold your ground and understand that emotion is what he wants to put you through, is hell. And when that happens, it multiplies whatever you have, or begins to, as a little child, it begins to make a home inside you, which is equivalent to the parent who could not help doing what his parents did. It never stops. But the only way it can stop is realizing it isn't you. You have intuition. Cannot emphasize it. Intuition. Let it flow. Never mind if you lose your scholarship. Doesn't matter what it is that will give you happiness and health. All the rest is as they say it would. It's all balderdash. Pardon the expression. When you see thoughts and you're thinking about this or that, look, how dare you? Attitude. In other words, you don't need to have thoughts and worries and figure this out and figure that. Even if you're a good businessman, even in business and everything that's holy on earth, as it is in hell, you can have a business, and in business it works the same way. You'll be treated and cheated, and all you have to do is to see it's trying to get inside you, and all you have to do is watch and wait. And everything will come out of you in the proper way, in the proper moment. See, I didn't write it down today. I write nothing down. I wait to see. I always wait, and there's no thoughts. It's just, oop, see, bang, done. All together. Or see it, wait for it. It's all built in. Nothing. Of myself I can do nothing. Jesus said it. Of myself I can do nothing. The Father inside me, He doth it. But you miss it. But you miss it because you've got intellectual. Intellectual is dangerous. Look how I can speak. I used to be able to speak in that language. But the minute I start to go in that world, I start and I fall apart. It's all gone away. Every now and then you have to give me a name of something. Yeah.
There was something I didn't quite understand. Last week you said something and you made it so crystal clear. I thought it was so beautiful. You said that we either pursue the meaning of life or we pursue glory for ourselves.
Say it again.
Last week you said we either pursue the meaning of life or we're pursuing glory for ourselves.
Yes.
And during the week, I found myself being very sort of objective, kind of watching myself. And I could see as I went through the entire week, I was always looking to do something that would make myself look good.
Not good.
But I was watching that, and I was seeing
That's good.
myself do that.
Yeah.
And I'm a little confused when you say that we aren't the ones that are sinning, because I see myself making the choice to hope.
No, it wants you to think that you. Did you understand that? The dark side in you that's got you as a child has taken over. Look, if he's a nice man, and I did something really, I do something I know how to do to control him, he's finished. But he's not. It's not him that's sinning. It's me sinning through him, so he gets blame. How simple that is.
So does that mean when we're like going in the direction to something that makes us look good, it's not really us going in that direction? There's
You don't
something
want to
in
play.
us.
That's a game. I'm not sure it's a clear. I hear what you're saying, but a clarity for me. I think I've said enough about that today. I can just share it just one more time. I think I can. You are born innocent. Intuition is learning to be who you want to be from within, and that is the arena of God. Correct? That's it? That's what you had. Don't you see? It's like a YouTube. Do you know what I mean by YouTube? That way. Did you see how I did that? It's not from God. It's for Adam failing and getting woman and giving excuses for his behavior and disconnecting from God and becoming part animal and procreating. And the procreating is what God wants. So that what happened to Adam can only be you cannot cure that. The way it's cured, and the way what God wanted it, He wanted a woman to be part animal and part human and produce children. Children who now they came down from God, take the YouTube, and you're going back again. Do you understand that? The human being has suffering, but he's suffering in the way back. Does that make sense or not?
Yeah, it does.
It does, because it doesn't sound. I call it a U-tube.
A U-turn.
A U-turn.
A U-turn.
Yeah, U-turn. So now you move. Now every child is moving towards God, but the problem is that the parents are stuck with that. Cain kills Abel. Get it? The first murder. So it goes around. One appreciates it, and the other one chooses otherwise. It's there. You can choose. And most people don't choose negative. You choose positive. Even in the mind, you're saying to yourself as a little kid, I'm not going to be with my mother. But the trouble is, I'm not going to be like my father. But the point is, even though you want to be that way, it won't work. You can't make it work. And the reason why is because the moment you got penetrated as a little kid, it has the same as doing to somebody big. I can turn him, if I wanted to, right sitting there now, make him do anything I want, and it make him think it's his own idea. I can do that to anybody, but I can do it. There's so many ways. I have skills at that. I want to blow them away, of course not. I'm not proud of it. I have it, but I'm not proud of it. But I have to have it to explain it to you. I don't want to let it go just like that. I want to show you. Is this you? Am I making sense? I have to hold on to that, basically. I can. Just to teach you, to share. How many people feel better today? That's good. And you felt better today, Ann? That's nice. Okay. What time is it? Is it time? Oh, yes. I don't know what Mother's Day is, but happy Mother's Day. Oh, it's happy every day. Thank you. Support the program, please. What I'm trying to do is give everything free. I hope to live long enough to see everything going free. Everything. Right now, we've got everything that's important. I wanted to drugs, alcohol, cancer. All you have to do is press a button. There it is, explaining it to you. It's on one of the trees. the whole the sicknesses and misery and suffering. The animals don't have that. Elephants and lions and tigers and bears, oh my. They don't get sick. You can cut them open, they get better. They don't need any medicine. Your dog, if you leave it outside, it'll never have it get sick. But human beings get sick because guilt. All that's guilt. And whatever it is you pick up to make you feel better will control you. And it has a name for that disease. All the diseases are the same. Depending upon what you eat or do. And pick one of those flowers from that same tree. Each one of them has a sickness situation, special. You die from cancer, you die from eating too much. It's a disease. Each one has a disease, even the food you eat. And the food is good food, but you're eating too much. And you're addicted to it. Boing. You're dead. You're also going to die if you don't lose some of that weight.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, you all look a lot better. Well, except you too, you've got a whisker. You're hiding your fat. I'm just kidding.
Those are in right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.